Here is the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Vladimir Putin, Russian president, meets United States envoys in Moscow amid fraught Russia-Ukraine talks. Negotiation from the United States, including envoy Steve Witkoff, met with Putin in an attempt to push a revised peace plan. While the talks continue, no breakthrough has been announced and major territorial and security issues remain unresolved. Welcome to SATV's International Affairs, broadcasting live from SATV's Dhaka studio. My name is Rashid Kanchon. I have a very distinguished, terrific panelist today, Dr. Major Nasir Uddin Ahmed, very outspoken personality on international security and conflict issues, and from Washington DC we will have our geopolitical correspondent, very veteran journalist, ambassador and peace negotiator Norman Flood Barnes. Norman, I want to begin with you, sir. There are so many breaking news stories you have in your table, in your basket. Please share us the latest you have.
Yes, good morning. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff happening currently today. But first, as you mentioned, Vladimir Putin had a 5-hour conversation with our representative yesterday, and they came to a understanding, but no compromise. The situation is still very stagnant. He is not moving at all on his position, and he mentioned before the event, before they had the conversation, that Europe is the cause of this, and if Europe won't go to war, he's ready to go to war. So basically, we are now seeing exactly what is really going on. This is a issue with the European Union, and Ukraine has been used as a battlefield. So that starts us off, and then back in the United States, we have our Congress is now conversations are talking about War Powers Act. They are very concerned about our issue in Venezuela. It's saying if the president and the Trump administration decide to make land attacks, they will go and start conversations about War Powers Act to restrict our military from being used in this type of confrontation. So this is again stirring the pot just before Christmas. We like a lot going on, and also we had a conversation. Actually, the courts yesterday had a hearing regarding the shooter of the guardsman in D.C., and the complainant from his hospital bed pleaded not guilty. So that is moving on. And the president had a conversation yesterday about Somalia. Basically, more importantly, the Somalis are living in the United States, particularly in the state of Minnesota. He stated he do not want them here. They do not contribute anything. And matter of fact, he's going to start a new targeted attack to eradicate the unlawful Somalis that are in this country. Unfortunately, the data doesn't support that. 58% of the Somalis in Minnesota was actually born there, and the other 87% of them are naturalized citizens. So I don't know how this thing's going to work, but he's right now has a issue with Somalis, stating that they do not belong in this country, and he wants them removed.
According to journalism, we call it a very fascinating and diversified move of the news rankings around the globe. I was watching several American top and leading news stories, very diversified, very significant stories. Norman, I just want to do a question on Russia. Yeah. Negotiation is going on. Steve Witkoff is traveling to Moscow to meet world's most unpredictable warmonger Vladimir Putin. He agreed to start the negotiation talks, and son-in-law of Donald Trump, Jared Kushner, included in the mission. My question is, given Russia's claim over Pokrovsk, recently occupied by Russian military, how realistic is a negotiated peace now, and what would it even look like? You invited me at your home to start negotiation. Now you are again occupying my lands. So it looks like a controversial look. What you gonna say?
Well, it looks bad, very bad. Basically, they are negotiating basically what in terms of the surrender. They're negotiating how they're going to divide up the country and what portion that the people in Ukraine is going to get. They have decided that this event will end under their conditions, and Ukraine will have to submit to whatever they decide they should have. It's not a negotiation. It's basically, this is telling them basically this is how it's going to be, and you're going to have to accept it, or you're going to have to answer the consequences. And the consequences is, as we see, a continued bombardment of the infrastructure, the killing of people, and basically they want to control the situation. And now it appears that they are now instigating or trying to agitate the EU. Basically, they're saying, you know, if you want to get involved or you put your foot in this, and if you alter our 28-point plan, we are now going to look at you, and our aggression is going to revert from Ukraine to the EU, which is initially, I believe, the intent.
Well, very structured information with good analysis, very smart analysis, Sir Norman Flood Barnes. I really love your dedication to journalism and your way of talking on the particular issue, sir. Let me on board Dr. Major Nasiruddin Ahmed. He has the military background, he is an academician, he speaks very well on international affairs, especially on conflict, mediation, negotiation, and of course war and other issues, international issues too. Sir, I want to ask you, should Ukraine or Volodymyr Zelensky or his team agree to a peace plan that involves territorial concessions, reduction of military power, and of course quitting the ambition to be the member of NATO, which was the main cause, root cause of attack by Vladimir Putin? Or would that undermine long-term sovereignty? Because I personally don't have confidence on Vladimir Putin, because he is very much unpredictable to me.
Thank you, Kanchan, and warm greetings to my dear viewers and SATV officials. To be very honest, I think that this decision, particularly as you have asked, is not solely depends on Zelensky himself, because now it is quite clear that he is backed by some European forces, those who are, as you have rightly pointed out, that they were given the task by NATO to continue this war. So that's why it's not very easy for him to take a decision like that. And just if I flash back, you can see that back in 2023, during the campaign of President Donald Trump, he said, if you elect me, I can close this war. I can make a negotiation within days, even within hours.
Yes.
You can remember.
He mentioned 24 hours.
24 hours. And after that campaign, election took place on 5th of November 2024. And now 1 year already gone, 1 year plus now. And the war itself started in 24th of February 2022. And now we are heading for February 2026. So already 4 years time, the war is continuing almost. So this is we could not see any fruitful compromise, fruitful negotiation, or fruitful initiative towards a peace deal. Reason being, as I said, that in one side, very orthodox and very authoritarian Putin is there, and on the other hand, Zelensky may be a simple, good-looking young man, but he is very well guided and well, I can say, backed up by the European forces. That's why I see France is taking its stake, and all other European countries are giving him all sort of backups. And very recently, the strikes on the shadow fleet of Russia is a bright example that how he is getting the intelligence, how he is getting the drones, very sophisticated drones, which cannot be stopped by the Russian forces. And where is the Turkey territory, the water territory of Turkey, and where is Russia, where is the Ukraine? In between, things are being destroyed. This energy hub is being now questioned. Again, Russia is striking on the electricity and the power plants of the Ukraine. Now the war has accelerated towards the power control, both in terms of Russia and in terms of Ukraine itself. So that's why it is a very complex situation now. Decision does not depend on Zelensky himself only.
I really appreciate, sir, the way you described the situation, but right this moment I have a very breakthrough, very strong breaking news from European Union parliaments in Brussels. European Union agrees to ban Russian gas imports by 2027. The time Dr. Nasir is talking about the economy and energy policy, European Parliament in Brussels are passing a bill. EU lawmakers and member states have reached a deal to phase out all Russian gas imports by autumn 2027, a dramatic shift in energy policy with wide-ranging global implications. Norman, President Trump's policy is working in Brussels. Member of European Parliament, we call them MEP, they are working according to the President Trump's plan, because last few months President Trump is not uttering even the name of NATO. He is uttering European countries will go for their own security. I have a question for you regarding the Ukraine's interest. What role should the United States and European countries play in ensuring any peace deal holds and protects Ukrainians' interest? Norman, sir, I know you are a born journalist in America, but let us talk about Ukrainians' interest, because we know negotiation helps win-win, not win and losing.
Thank you for the question. Actually, I have a lot of close friends in Ukraine. Some of them had to leave, and a lot is still there. So I know exactly what they are dealing with. The situation is that they are dealing with their sovereignty. Basically, this situation is rewarding the aggressor. They have invaded the country. They have seized land. Matter of fact, they claimed another city yesterday. And the proposal to maintain everything they seize, everything they have, limit the amount of military that Ukraine can maintain, and eliminate their possibilities for joining NATO, is everything they started. They basically won. They basically got what they needed, and now they're talking about how Ukraine is going to live under the rule of Russia. So the issue is now how and what response are we going to get from EU? I mean, basically the deal, they had a 5-hour talk yesterday, and nothing was conceded. So what did they talk about? They're talking about how this thing is going to move in the future. The United States and Russia is developing a partnership. I'm going to let you know now. They're developing a partnership where they are going to divide up this area, and they're basically going to rule it. It's hard to say that, but it's appearing that everything is in place for that. It's just a matter of how do we maintain and deal with the issue with the EU.
All right, sir. It is a
The current,
paradigm. It is a
yes, the current. Let me just finish. The
yes,
current
sir.
president right now, Zelensky, uh, he will be replaced, and there will be someone in there who's more lenient to the new government, and the new government is geared towards a pro-U.S. Russia agreement, and this is not to the advantage of Europe, and the people of Ukraine is going to suffer dearly. That is my concern. Is that the people of Ukraine is going to suffer from this. They're not going to benefit from this. They're going to lose. So basically, they'll be looked at as a defeated people, and now they have to submit to the new government. And Europe has to respond in a way. I don't know what they're going to do outside of start a war with Russia. So I don't know how this thing is going to turn out with the EU and how this situation is going to turn out. But right now, the deal has been done, and the situation with Ukraine is just a matter of time how this thing plays out. This peace deal is going to be a deal in favor of this new partnership.
All right, sir. You have given very significant few indications that there will be a partnership between United States and Russia, and Ukraine is going to lose the entire negotiation. He has given another thing that Volodymyr Zelensky is going to be ousted, and the Ukrainian citizen will not be benefited from this negotiation process. It is a paradigm shift. It is a totally diagonally opposite situation of two different administration, Biden administration and Donald Trump administration. Sir, you had a military background. How you gonna explain all these things?
First of all, every inch of land for Ukraine is very important, because you know the Ukraine is either holding some mineral deposits under its every inch of land they have, or the Ukraine is very fertile land in terms of crops production. It is the basket or breakfast basket for many
Yes.
nations. It is
Breakfast
well
of the
explained.
world.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
every inch is very important for Ukraine to keep its sovereignty, its authority, and its best possible utilization. And now, as in my previous talk, I said that Ukraine could go up to hitting a Russian shadow fleet, empty vessels which had been coming back after secretly dispatching some crude oil from Russia to other countries. You know, there is a ban on exporting the well from Russia in some of the areas. So those ships were hit by Ukraine. That is the indication how much they are being backed by the European Union. But as you have rightly pointed out, the son-in-law of the President Donald Trump, Jared Kushner, is right now at Moscow, and he is being backed up by another famous negotiator, Witkoff. So these two gentlemen, they are the purely business-oriented people. They are the purely business-oriented people. Otherwise, Donald Trump is famous for his interest for the business. Cryptocurrency, he has just dominated. Now meme currency has come, which can play a vital role in the world. So I will not be surprised if there is a negotiation between this present American administration and the Russian administration, because on the other hand, Putin, he is also a very much goal-oriented man. He looks for his own interest of power. For that, anything he can do. So
Absolutely.
Ukraine will be in sandwich.
Absolutely, Ukraine will be in sandwich. Ladies and gentlemen, let me warmly welcome to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto, who has more significant things in his hand, I am sure, because he always studies on international news, waving. Shamsul Alam Panto, welcome, and please add what are the other topics you want to add.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanchan. Of course, a very warm welcome to Major Nasiruddin Ahmed in the studio, and of course Norman Floyd Barnes, who joins us through Zoom. I understand that we were talking about the U.S. position between Ukraine and Russia. I know, as Mr. Nasser had said, that Steve Witkoff, special envoy, is actually the mouthpiece of Donald Trump. And not only so, son-in-law Jared Kushner has also joined him in accompanying with him to Moscow to hold talks with the relevant competent authority. From what I understand is this is the diplomacy standard set by US President Donald Trump. On the other hand, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told the Irish Parliament that Ukraine is closer to peace than ever before. Of course, we can all understand that he is being pressured to one corner. The only friends he right now has is Europe and some countries in Europe, while the UK government seems to have unfaltering support for Ukraine. But that being said, there are some interesting stories across the world that I want to bring to the table. First of all, Brazil's Lula da Silva and Donald Trump is talking about, had a 40-minute phone call, which the government of Brazil described very productive. I want to reiterate the fact that earlier on this year, United States administration had imposed a 50% tariff on Brazil. So this faltering of political alliances are now coming to a fruition to understand the benefit of the people. And also on the other hand, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution on Tuesday that declares Israel's continued occupation and de facto annexation of the Syrian Golan illegal and demands its withdrawal to the June 4, 1967 line. This is another stance by the United Nations against the illegal state of Israel.
Yes, sir. Very important especially two topics you have pushed to the table to discuss. We will definitely do it. We are going for a short commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, when I'll be back, I'll ask two questions to Norman and Dr. Nasir regarding, Dr. Nasir was talking drone and maritime strikes can change the nature of the war. And also I have been informed from some European Parliament source that American negotiation style may divide Europe. Huge breakthrough. We are going for a short commercial break.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. Sophisticated fine dining restaurant.
European countries are scared of Russia because of history. Russia always tried to occupy European lands. Therefore, Russia is always against European countries. European countries never want to see that Russia is winning in a negotiation table with Ukraine. But United States, the leader of European countries, are trying to let Russia win. Big question. I want to do Norman Flood Barnes from Washington. Some medias are assuming that this negotiation may divide European countries. One will go to the favor of United States, another countries may be out from that negotiation table. Norman, do you assume same, or do you have any explanation on this commentary served by CNN?
Yes, as I mentioned before, this newfound partnership between the United States that is developing. Jared Kushner is there for a reason. He's not just holding the bags. He's there for a reason. He's not a government official. He's a businessman. So he can talk about and do deals that the government can't do. They had a 5-hour conversation. A lot of this conversation was talking about how we're going to move forward in the future. And one of the issues is that has to be considered is that a lot of the frozen assets from Russia is held in the EU, and I would not be surprised if there was a conversation about how the U.S. and its groups and allies and business people can help free up these assets from Europe and get them back to Russia and allow Russia to prosper and move forward. The situation right now is showing my European colleagues are very concerned about the United States position. They are moving towards a more European type of NATO, EU, and dealing with Russia from the European standard, and they are basically not dependent on the United States. Matter of fact, they're moving to move their commanders to a European commanders to run NATO versus the U.S. So the plan's already in place to have this gradual separation, movement away from the United States dependent. Yes, the United States will be welcome, but they are not dependent or dependent on the United States anymore. And so we're going to see a separation in terms of basically how they deal with European issues versus United States and their global ambitions, including with Russia.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very honest and very direct and straight answers. I want to onboard our international affairs commentator. I'm sure he will input some more things. Sir, you have heard, Sir Norman, that Europeans are probably going to be divided according to the diplomacy by White House. My question is, could targeting Russia's shadow fleets provoke wider escalation involving neutral countries or triggering sanctions? This is one question, and I want to add one more thing. Why Donald Trump is supporting Vladimir Putin for his own interest? Because Jared Kushner is in the team without any portfolio.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanchan. I would just want to add on to the fact that there are neutral countries in Europe. One of those includes Spain, who had declined on the increase of defense spending from 2 to 5% earlier on during the NATO summit that was being held. Of course, this has increased implications towards the safety and security during this special time. This is the worst time for Europe. The winter season has come in. It is snowing in several of these countries, and they do need energy, sufficient energy to make sure that the heating systems are operating in full function. At this moment, you look at a country like Germany. It has Friedrich Merz as the chancellor, or as the leader right there to make the bigger shots. Now, coming back to the fact that these shadow fleets are being attacked in the sea, and any moment this can take a spiral in, an escalation may happen. But the mere fact that Steve Witkoff, Special Envoy, and Jared Kushner is in Moscow to deal with the Kremlin is a signal that US and Russia have renewed ties. Earlier on, I was talking about how Alaska has a historical representation of their relationship. That's just one. And also, both sides have committed themselves to create a bridge or a tunnel between the two, Russia and Alaska, that would tie these two continents up. So coming back to the fact that Russia cannot be stopped, US administration understands that.
Yes, sir.
These tariffs are useless to a country like Russia, and hence this new stance against Ukraine.
Sir, according to the design of the program, I was supposed to come to Dr. Nasir, but as Norman has some time limitations, I want to onboard him again. Sir Norman, I just want to get your impression on how does expanding drone and maritime strikes change the nature of this war, and what risk does it pose to global energy and trade? And I have read out one breaking news from Brussels right this moment. They are passing a bill, member of European Parliament's MEPs are passing a bill that they will ban Russian oil totally. Do you think it will create distance between this negotiation among Russian and European countries? Sir Norman.
Yes, the situation has already been decided. All of these things have been anticipated, planned, and the what ifs. So we're dealing with the contingencies in place. So the Russian supply to Europe, they have anticipated this going to happen. However, the weather, the season, not a good time to do that. Because right now the transition is going to be, so where they're going to get the oil from? They have to come around and there's going to be issues. And now we get the military involved with blockades and drone attacks. This is going to slow down the production and the delivery of these needed services to these areas. It's getting cold outside. And any delay is a big problem. It's a big problem. So these tactics is not going to be productive. It's going to be counterproductive, because if you stop my production, you stop my oil, you're not going to get any either. And you need this stuff, and we're providing you resources. So there's a situation right now that we could have a conflict over just the fact that the drones are aggravating, and now I have the power. Russia feels like they have the authority and they have the power, they have the control, and they're going to tighten up the noose and they're going to restrict, because Europe don't have the ability to have oil. They have to get it from somewhere, and they have to get it there. If the Russians decide to block and attack and continue to disrupt the supply chain, they're going to be a real problem for Europe.
Sir Norman Flatt-Barnes, I really appreciate you for your joining and putting so much of important and significant information and news stories analysis. So smart presentation, sir. Have a very, very good day today in Washington. Weather is cold over there. Thank you, sir.
Snow. We have snow.
Enjoy the snow, sir.
Yes.
And let me come back to Dr. Nasir. Dr. Nasir, you are hearing our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho and from Norman. Both are experienced in their field. My question is, do you think it is a indirect and alternative method to divide Europe by United States of America? Very direct question, sir.
Yes, as a military man or as a soldier, I look at this Ukraine-Russia war from a different perspective as well. It is political, it is energy related, at the same time militarily also very, very important lessons for any person who pursue the study on war or conflict or peace negotiation. Why? You see, you will have to go back to the creation of NATO. Why the NATO was created? Because all these European countries who are the members of the NATO, they wanted a totally peace situation in Europe so that they can concentrate towards development, towards the changing the standard of their life, their economy, education, cultural heritage, etc., avoiding the war. And that's why they have voluntarily contributed for raising the fund for the NATO, and totally they have created a situation when the Europe was feeling the sense of security. Now coming back to this Russia-Ukraine war, this particular Ukraine is a symbol of one small country of NATO. Just a little version of NATO, you can say, because whole Europe was supporting this Ukraine. NATO was directly involved in organizing the forces of Ukraine, giving them intelligence, giving them the recent drones. I am sure that none of the Ukrainians could thought of such sophisticated drones, like the speedboats going towards the ship. Somebody thought the ship is coming or some pirates are coming, but ultimately it was a drone fitted, unmanned watercraft.
Sir,
Okay.
I was listening Meghan Kelly show this morning. One veteran general who commanded the entire Iraq war on behalf of US and British Marines. He said, gentlemen, this war between Russia and Ukraine is not going to be ended.
Yep.
Whatever offer is going on, it is going on to develop business and tie-ups, but
Yeah.
this war is not going to be ended. He made 100% sure to his audience that war will be continued. How you see his comment?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. As I was listening to Dr. Nasser, he is very accurate on pointing the fact that it is not just political, it is also there is military intention, there is energy intentions between the two sides. And of course, if you look at American politics, Joe Biden, the last president before Donald Trump, had come in to support Ukraine in a different stance. And he had commented saying that there is going to be that pipeline, the Nord Stream pipeline is going to be blown up. So there are political and economical issues between all of the sides that are concerned. And when a war breaks out in one region, all the neighboring countries around that region start to question their own intentions, whether or not I will benefit from going into war, or how will I deter this warlike situation from my country. If you look at Ukraine, 20 to 35% of its eastern flank is gone to Russian forces. And it's not because of Russian forces trying to attack and taking it over. No, it is because of those people, those residents who live in those areas who want to be called Russian. This is a much more deeper crisis inside Ukrainian government other than having Russia trying to take them over. So once again, there might be a peace deal, there might be some kind of negotiation going on, but the war will be much more silent. In 1991, when the Soviet Union fell out, they had one goal. They said that there shall be no more NATO expansion, and including Ukraine, a former Soviet territory, is a form of breaking that kind of truce, and hence Russia had taken to the mainstream in attempting to attack Ukraine.
Very fascinating. History tells us that war was a business. Present situation is guiding us that trust war is a business. And AI also predicting war will be the #1 business, most lucrative business of the warmongers.
Correct.
You served in the military.
Yeah. So as I was telling that to continue with my last talk, this particular Ukraine-Russia war is the small version of war between Russia and any of the European countries. Now, as you have rightly said, if the Russia wins, that means a country of European Union is being lost. And it's a prestige issue for the European Union and NATO that we all together could not protect a country like Ukraine. So that is one side of the coin. The other side is, if Russia takes over, who is going to stop them? Who is going to stop them? The other power, you see, as you have said, whether there is any hope of ending this war or not, I find a little ray at the end of the tunnel. Why, you know? Now the focus of Donald Trump is towards Venezuela as well, which is hub of the largest crude well in the world. So, yeah, and Mr. Partha rightly said that the President Donald Trump had 40 minutes of talk. He could manage 40 minutes of talk to talk to Brazil president. Why? Brazil is neighbor of Venezuela. Again, Venezuela is now right on today in war with Guyana. Who is backing Guyana? Again, it is the US. So if the focus of US is towards the well resource of Venezuela, maybe there will be some other dimension in the Russian-Ukraine war. So as you rightly said, the war is no more is war or military subject, it's a subject of economics now. maybe in future we'll find economics and military science being studied together.
Very well said. I really appreciate. Samsalam Pantho, I will go to a break, but before that I need to learn one thing from you, as you are very closely following these events. That is, do you think White House is capable of multitasking? I can give more specifications like Donald Trump is capable or a specialist or expert on multitasking, because Dr. Nasir has given us a hint that he is moving into Latin American countries like Venezuela.
Thank you so much for the question. If you look at the team that is surrounding Donald Trump, we have Pete Hegseth, we have Marco Rubio, we have Caroline Leavitt. These people are, of course, backing up Donald Trump's rhetoric and narratives across the whole world. And of course, Dominican Republic is now in support of the US. Anyone who has had any kind of strained relationship with Venezuela has suddenly become a friend of the United States. That is the rhetoric of war, and that is how the Caribbean looks like. First of all, a boat in the military aircraft carrier, excuse me, which has 5,000 personnel versus a boat that probably has not more than 10 people and is alleged of carrying some kind of narco-trafficking drug. In international law, and if you look at the laws of the sea, one can conduct an arrest at the sea. You can arrest them, you can go searching for their vessel. There are so many more things rather than the old American greasehead style of blowing them up. That direct order came from the leader of that nation, and I believe that they are in some kind of violation of international law. And it is very common to see something like that happen under the wing of Donald Trump, as he is also in support of Benjamin Netanyahu, someone also who is charged and accused of breaking international rules.
All right, sir. One commentator in ABC News was asking a big questions to his co-panelists that, don't you have the eyes, Mr. President? Don't you look at others? Don't you look at Gaza people? Don't you look at the civilian people, unarmed women, children, and unarmed people? I'm sure he wears a sunglass, though we don't see the sunglass. Ladies and gentlemen, apology for a short commercial break.
Sophisticated fine dining restaurant, crystal clear swimming pool for ultimate relaxation, modern gym and serene spa for well-being, perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured, elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge, relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur 10 Dhaka. Elegant spa and wellness facility for ladies and gents. Play pool and snooker in international standard billiard zone.
Let's look at the civilization, old civilization, the Palestinian civilization has been destroyed by IDF, Israeli Defense Force, and one-man command, Benjamin Netanyahu, with the support of world's most powerful country, United States and its allies. Sir, I just want to ask you one question. Is a lasting ceasefire realistic now? What political or diplomatic steps are needed, because IDF is still bombing?
Yeah, it's very much shocking for the whole world that though there was an open declaration of ceasefire, and nobody less than the President Donald Trump himself said he is taking control of the whole situation there, and still Netanyahu is giving order to strike. Innocent teenage has been killed just yesterday, and many of the standing building again destroyed by the bombing. So if you talk about, is there really any negotiation or really any ceasefire taking place there? Answer is visually no. Though there is no mass killing, though there is no much attack on the territory, but what they are doing in the name of evicting the Hamas from the occupied territory or from the particular zone, it's nothing less than a crime against humanity. It's crime against any sort of norms of rules, whatever you say. But surprisingly, you see, this particular President Donald Trump, he recommended the President of Israel to pardon our gentleman.
Right.
We can see is that he is not leaving his chair, rather he is telling pardon me, and he is giving order to kill more and more people in the Gaza Strip. So that is the indication that nobody really feels for the Palestinians, nobody wants a peace in that region, everyone wants to take its own benefit. If you talk about the Arabs, they are busy with their own interest. If you talk about the war mechanism sellers or the weapon sellers, dealers, they are also busy with their own mechanism. Those who are the developing partners, they are, or the medicine suppliers, they are busy with their own business. So everywhere now it has become the nobody's baby. Israel is now nobody's baby. Everybody is giving kick whenever they are feeling comfortable.
Yeah, your comment is almost similar to far-right movement leader General Benny Gantz. He said yesterday that this gentleman Benjamin Netanyahu put Israel on a fire and he made Israel most dangerous. One day he will not be in the chair, but Israel has to count
pay for this.
His legacy. Shamsul Alam Pantho, sir, I want to ask you one question. Do you really believe that this negotiation or this ceasefire between Israel and Gaza is to stop Gazan people or Hamas to attack, but it is allowing IDF to continue and cleaning the civilian?
Thank you so much. The United States has a terrorist organization committee in which they target an association and call them or brand them a terrorist nation, and they should do that with the IDF, because in the last 50 days of the ceasefire, Israeli forces have killed 357 Palestinians. So what is this ceasefire? Over 300 people have died because of, even after having a ceasefire. And of course, you want to look at the trending news regarding Middle East. First off, I want to say that Bahrain is hosting the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council Summit, amid shifting regional security dynamics. Of course, this summit comes as the sense of security by the US, British and French bases spread across the region is not perceived as solid as it once was. It is because Israel had targeted Hamas delegation negotiating team in Doha. And that proves that having all of these bases around these countries does not provide a solid kind of security pact. So that is one of the reasons, and because of this, we see a security deal and a military deal between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. That is, it is quite old news, but it is important to understand where the dynamic of Israel is being at this moment. And of course, it's not just human intervention that has caused this war. I know that for some cases that severe torrential rain have displaced people in Palestine and Gaza as well. So at this moment, the reconstruction of Gaza was on the cards. The mediating countries do understand that they have to look toward the intention of their own countries. I remember the foreign minister of Qatar coming out on TV after the bombing and in their capital Doha, that Qatar will have no more say or will not participate in mediation efforts because it understands that its sovereignty was attacked due to the influence of a country and of a nation, of an administration, of a false pariah state known as Israel.
CIFX funding report has been disclosed that the Israeli jet plane took refueling in the land of Saudi Arabia while attacking Qatar. Your background tells us, requests us to tell something about this, and especially our international affairs commentator raised one issue. Why Saudi Arabia could not confident on American security support, why they have come to Pakistan for a tie-up and agreement like NATO type?
You see, entire Middle East had some confidence on the USA administration, and they have gone up to that extent, surrendering or compromising their sovereignty, allowed American people to establish military bases in Middle East. I was in Qatar for 5 years plus, I was in Oman for 5 years plus, and I was in different Middle East countries in connection with the my service, and also I participated in the Gulf War back in 1991. So I know how these Americans from 91 up to 2025 aggravated their positions in different Middle East countries. I have seen in my own eyes how they have given protection of their particular few areas where even the Arabs, even the members of royal families cannot enter. That is how they have compromised their sovereignty in their own land, own territory. And to the extent, in somewhere, the member of royal family was shot dead once he was trying to negotiate a barbed wire to get inside some places. And there was no news on that. Up to that level, they have compromised. But suddenly, this attack on Qatar has opened up the eyes of the Arabs that it is not a comfortable, as in Bangla we said that just nurturing a snake with milk and banana. No, if it is the mere presence of a poisonous snake in the home or in the room is enough. Maybe it will not bite now if
One
you
day.
give them the milk and banana.
Yes,
but
sir.
That is not called peace. That realization may be coming to the Arabs.
I have huge gratitude to Dr. Nasir, Shamsul Alam Panthua and Norman for participating in today's show and making this show very rich with open discussion, facts, figures, information and analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are running out of time, I want to say goodbye, but we'll see you tomorrow.